we see Team Shot have covered all the exits, which in the Gaga Vala, which their exits have been closed off. Back in the underground hall, we see Redestro and Temperance who actually see the battle ahead, but one of the members say that the heroes have blocked up all the exits, in which they are now attacking them in a countless order, which means that they cannot escape, which means they're surrounded, causing his quirk to unleash, meaning that they will be defeated. But we see Kaminari using using his quirk to drain all of their energy, but that's when Edgeshot using Thousand Sheep Piers onto the villains to stopping them from attacking Kaminari, which we knew that if they move because he opened small holes in their lungs, then we see Midnight using her quirk to put all the men to sleep, which we knew they won't move. And Comedy Wood using chain prison to actually hold them, which we knew that they won't move. But then we see how New Key using his core to incapacitate them by seeking them in the quicksand, then Komori using her quirk to cover them in mushrooms, which we knew how the rest will have to deal with them, knowing how they will all take care of them. However, we see Twice actually goes head to head with Hawks when he has all the feathers surrounding surrounding him, knowing how this would actually come into battle with the person who teach him about the Liberation Army, knowing how he's destroyed the camera that blocks skeptics monitoring, knowing how we see how they review the liberation behind their backs, in which we see how he told them not to fight because he will restrain him, and hand him over to the police. But we see how he witnessed his friends being killed and injured by Overhaul, in which he would never forgive him for hurting them. But knowing how he won't allow anyone else to be hurt again, we see how he always had to watch over Overhaul and take care of everything else because of him, which we knew how he knew much about the Liberation Army because he actually knew that he wants to fly free. That's when he became a hero, and Trice thought that he could trust him, knowing how he was tricked by Hawk, but knowing how they actually see how they actually have people like him that he cannot trust. But we knew how he wanted to battle him, but Hawk said thank you because he was unlucky. So now we see how he thought to himself that he made a mistake, which born without any luck, which he told him to take responsibility for their crimes in which knowing how they were actually wanting to fly wherever they want together because he is a good person and he wants to help him. Now we knew how he wanted to help Trice, but he can't because he's a villain. But he realized that he can actually save himself, but he doesn't want to fight his friend. Knowing how Trice, aka Jean, will have no choice but to battle Hogs, knowing how he will have to battle him by creating clones of himself. Meanwhile, we actually see how Tokoyami meet up with Fat Gum and Tamaki, which we knew how they going to battle the villains underground, knowing how the passages lead outside. But there are only 5 of them remaining inside of the building that are outside of Cementos' range, in which we knew that they're going to battle the villains ahead, which we see Sun Eater using the Vaz hybrid Chimera Centaur on them, which he actually successfully did, but he still can't get over his embarrassment over that. That is when we see Tokoyami using Dark Shadow's Ragnarok to actually find the passageway. But Dark Shadow informs him that there is something inside of the building, which is the Jenny Mishima, who's actually in standby, who, after battling Destro and destroying his leg, we can tell that he still isn't moving. But he only takes orders from the group's leader, which is Shigaraki. But we can tell how Fat Gum's carrying Tokoyami in his stomach, but he wants to know where Hawks is, which we see how he had no interest into training the new generation of heroes, but he do whatever he can to make sure they will carry out the heroes' legacies. But he hoped that he will watch over him, in which we see how Hawks tries told Hawks to die, which knowingly how they will have to battle each other to the death, in which he'll take responsibility for all of his crimes that actually happened to him, in which we see how one by one all the clones are dying because of the fact that he keep creating them with that as his core double. And of course, he actually continued to keep creating them, but he actually ended up slashing twice, injuring him in the process, which he would actually defeat him, but he actually said that he can't call them heroes for something like this, which we knew that he wanted to repay his debt and protect his friends, like when Toka wrapped the handkerchief around his head to keep himself under control, which we knew how everyone that he cares about is still there, which we will willing to see Hawks about to deliver the death blow to Twice. But then we see how Dobby actually appeared with his flame to stop Hawks and save Twice, which he didn't know he was there. Knowing how Twice is happy he made it, which he told him that he didn't do anything wrong, which he said was the heroes who were in the wrong as well, which he actually is happy that his friend saved him, which we knew how Twice, Dobby, knowing how he lose his feathers, we see how he has the advantage to battle him. But knowing how they will battle each other, knowing that they will actually will fight towards the end. But we will see how he managed to save himself and Twice, but Twice actually escaped with Toga's handkerchief while Dobby burns him with a clone holding him, in which we see how he's trying to escape, but we knew how he gave him a high five before he left, which we see how his court continued to go out of control, but Hawks, as quick as he can to actually catch up to them, but he was actually dodged the flames what little feathers he had left. But Dobby told him his full name, got distracted, and he actually fired the flame onto him. But we see Twice managed to escape, knowing how they saw the battle that actually happens, in which we see how they actually had a war, in which we can hear Twice actually protecting Toga and Mr. Compress, knowing how all the other members are trying to stall as best they could, which we see Twice using his clone to actually kill whoever they can, which Hawks is on behind him, which we see the hero actually capture both of them, knowing how they won't escape, which we knew how their techniques to avoid the hero works. But then we see how Twice actually appeared and stabbing the hero in the back, which killing him in the process to let go of them, knowing how they managed to escape. But he's starting to melt away to death, in which we see he's telling them that he did all he can to actually save them, because we see how he used the last of his own strength to save them, which he apologized to them, saying that it was his fault again, knowing how Hawks have actually found them, which we knew that he gave Toka his handkerchief back to her, knowing that her face got injured again, which we see how she saw Twice giving her handkerchief back, but we see how everything actually happened, which we would see how this entire story ended with Twice actually melted away and Hawks being injured and bloody all over the floor, which we see how they both actually been defeated in battle, knowing they actually was killed as well, in which his quirk is actually gone away, while Toga holding him for one last time and thanking him for saving her, knowing how he told Hawks to die, in which he was actually isn't happy of how he decided how he was born lucky. How Hawks battling Twice could be emotional for them, or for Twice, of course, when we see how the end of the episode of Twice dying in Toga's arms, or actually his clone, while the real one actually died in battle by Hawks. So we're gonna see what's gonna happen on the next episode next weekend. So anyway, like this video, subscribe for more, and comment all you think about the episode. You guys can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and my Facebook page and Twitch. Until then, this is Anime Guide right here saying sign out. Laters and be safe.